A World War II veteran visits Saipan for the first time in almost 7 decades. KSPN meets the man whose memories of a significant era in our history remain vivid after all these years. He enlisted in the Navy when he was just 17 years old, and a few months after his 18th birthday, John Pacella was sent to Saipan in September of 1944. The island was for the most part secured by that time, though Pacella says they still dealt with occasional banzai and sniper attacks from Japanese soldiers.
The banzai attacks were, I would say, constantly, well, from weeks to 2 weeks to 3 weeks at a time. Mostly we had to be careful of the snipers, because they were up in the streets, and we were told not to go into this particular area because it's too close to where the snipers were.
He was here during the now famous surrender of Captain Sakai Oba. For months after the bloody Battle of Saipan, Captain Oba and dozens of his men held out in the jungle, staging guerrilla attacks on the Americans. They were the last organized group of Japanese forces to formally surrender on December 1st, 1945.
Some of the women with them too, at that point. And they had these groups of Captain Oba with the men that he had in there. I think there must have been maybe, I would say 40, 50 people that come out of that cave was it Captain Oba to surrender. They finally surrendered.
Pacella was stationed first at Marpy Point, where he worked in the dispensary, attending to sick or wounded soldiers. It was at Marpy Point that he sometimes interacted with local women who worked at a nearby laundromat.
So they're very attractive ladies, nice brown, beige, complexion, very nice.
At 17, I'm sure they look good to you.
They were, of course, they were nice. They were nice.
After about 9 months in Marpy, Pacella was transferred to what was then Koblerfield, where he worked as an ambulance driver. He remembers vividly one tragic plane crash he responded to. The aircraft carried a group of Marines who were on their way home.
And they were flying out. All of a sudden, they came right down and crashed. All of them were killed, all of our men. So we had to get out there with body bags, and bring them in, throw them in the ambulance, bring them to the dispensary. That was the most, thing that I just remember on that point. That I just remember. I never forgot that.
Pacella also remembers when B-29s took off from Tinian, carrying the atomic bombs that would ultimately bring the Pacific War to an end.
So on Sunday morning, everybody came out and said that they were going to drop the atomic bomb on Hiroshima. And that's how I knew that at that point. And it came from the Tinian.
You saw the planes going over?
Yeah, saw the planes go over. That was on a Sunday morning. I remember that. I remember that very clearly. And then, but we didn't know about 3 or 4 days later. I think that's when they surrendered. Then we knew definitely that was surrendered at that point.
Pacella left Saipan in April of 1946. He went back to his hometown of Paterson, New Jersey, got into the real estate business, and eventually moved to Florida, where he met his beloved partner, Marjorie Vanek, with whom he's been for 22 years. Vanek and her daughter, Lisa Calhoun, helped coordinate the trip to Saipan. Saipan residents John Blanco and Will Hunter took the family around when they arrived.
I'm so happy to be here with John, and that John finally fulfilled his dream, and that, like I said, he got to see everything that he always told me about. And to have somebody show us the whole island was just absolutely magnificent. Will and John did a beautiful job, and he's going to go home a happy guy.
Pacella is 86 now, and he says the island has changed so much since he left it in 1946.
There was no roads, that's for sure. It's very built up. You have all stores and things now. There was nothing at that point. But the Cobra Field was the greatest airport. That was the airport coming in, and that was very, very well maintained, I would say. I was really surprised about that. It was great.
But some things haven't changed. Pacella says the people are as gracious today as he remembers them 66 years ago, and he's been overwhelmed by the hospitality and gratitude he's received every step of this journey.
The highlight of this trip? Everything. The people, things that I've seen around, that I see the improvement. I'm glad that we did take over the island and brought it to people that would take care of it, take care of the island. I'm impressed with that.